So don't do this if any of these things are applicable to you when it comes to jobs in cybersecurity or security operations. Let me start with something. There was a movie in Hollywood called Firewall, Harrison Ford, and very fancy, full of action and everything. So, but that's really doesn't happen in the real life. Cybersecurity jobs are not as fancy as it looks like when you see in the news and all that. And there's a lot of burnout. If you look at the CISOs, they usually get burned out in 2 years. If you look at all the histories, if there are any breaches, CISOs get impacted. Look at the solar winds, look at Okta breaches and all this. So this is where they are very stressful job. And, these roles come with a lot of responsibility. And in cybersecurity, especially in the operations, is one of those most stressful jobs. You will end up working days and nights and weekends. And there is no work-life balance, honestly, depending where you end up working. So if you join a company, that's the bitter truth you will find out after you join them. There are so many large, good organizations. They may not have, so I'm not sure. But I've seen there's a lot of stressful job, and there's no 9 to 5. Then you can say, okay, 5 p.m. you're gonna go. Maybe in some roles, some company that is applicable, but if you're part of incident response and all those type of jobs, these can be very hectic, very stressful, and depending how many customers you are handling with. In those type of job, because those company who sell the services, they have their staff, and staffs are to handle and help the customer. They are monitoring. So that's one of those, and that's not as fancy as it looks like. So if you're looking at from the Hollywood mindset, so that's the cybersecurity job is not all about. Second thing, there's a difference between cybersecurity and information security, but in cybersecurity, usually in large, big, mature organization, you will see a lot of procedure and process. But if you're in a mid-sized, smaller companies, they don't have a lot of process and procedures. Means if there is something happens, they will just ask you to fix. So sort of a break fix thing still exists, which is not supposed to be happening. But again, every organization has their own priority and criteria. They may not have budget or the right people and everything. They don't want to spend money on documentation and everything like that. So that's and the reason is all reasons are legitimate, because end of the day, you wanted to fix those things and move on. So the reactive approach, there is proactive approach. So you will see those in those organizations. There's a lack of documentation. If you're that person who follow the procedure, documentation, and everything, if you don't see it, you will struggle. So either you adapt or you move on to a different career, maybe within cybersecurity, security, or I would say information security, information assurance, cyber risk, which I will put more details in the future video. So that's another area. It's not like that. And then with that, I'll go to the next one, which is about constant learning. The only thing a constant in these type of jobs is change. They are changing every month, every week, every day, even depending on your role, because you will end up working in different tools, different days, different troubleshooting techniques, different areas, because this is where, if you are someone who wants to learn, so you want to learn at a very fast pace, because you get exposed to new things. So for example, if your company manages a service for a SOC and the customers are in Azure environment, you will deal with the incident management of their Azure. If the company is also having customer, which they would, is going to have AWS environment, right? So now you are going to investigate and look for alerts and threat in that environment. So there's a lot of room to grow and learn. But again, if you're not that type of person, then you may not even like it, So there's always different things, and there's a lot of change happen, and you have to learn on your own. So constant thing is changing every day, all the time. So if you're that kind of person, fast learner, you can learn on the go, you're gonna enjoy it. But if you are not, then again, this field of tech is all about change. That's the nature of this field, whether you're software engineer, developer, whichever the case is. There are always new things happening with AI, machine learning, cybersecurity, voice recognition, software developers developing these softwares. There are some bugs, and they get attacked, and this is your blue team, red team concept, everything comes in. So again, that is another idea. Fourth is, as I said, if there's a constant, there's continuous change, then it goes to the next level, which is about learning your skill set. How would you learn those skill sets? So again, if you're not a self-learner, self-taught person, then it can be very difficult for you, because even I myself, even with my job is done, I'm always constantly learning. Always, I have to be on top of the new stuff. Even I don't do this of security operations, but again, I need to know what's the trends, what new technologies are coming in, how do we do about it. For example, in the software security, we talk about SAST and DAST, right? How would you do the make sure the codes are secure and deployed with continuous integration and deployment, all that. But the next day, I will be looking into identity and access management or protection, right? Like what happened to Okta. So even for the senior person, senior role, we have to be like on top of the game and need to know all these tools and technology. Even we are not deploying it, but need to be abreast of these and knowing all those, like encryption, bring your own key and all those things. So there's always a learning, and you have to have that something where you can just go self-study, self-taught person. You have to read a lot of documentation. Let's say 5, 20, 10 pages is normal, like 30 pages, 50 pages, even 80 pages documentation is very normal, where you have to learn some new technologies. If you have to know about how to secure Kubernetes, containers, you see, these things did not exist a few years ago. Now with the cloud, these things, every new software, every new deployment is going to the cloud. So a person like me, in security, we have to make sure, I have to make sure that I know all these things work. So that's one of the most critical piece is about self-study, because sometimes there are not enough tutorial and trainings available. The vendor like Microsoft, Amazon, AWS, or GCP, they will publish the documentation, and then you have to just go through it and learn it. And sometimes there are some bugs, sometimes their documentation is not good, so you give them a feedback to the product team, and then this is how it works. So constant learning is there, self-study, and if you are not that type of person, then then cybersecurity or information security, maybe the field of tech is not for you. Last but not least, you would be surprised, there's not a lot of appreciation in the field, because if you're in one of those roles where you have to work with different teams, whether in security operations or information security, you basically give more work to the different teams. If a software team is going to market a product and they come to you for security consultation, you'll find all those gaps and you want them to remediate those. Guess what? You're adding more work to them. So they aren't going to like it, because it's an extra work. It can delay their project timeline. They might need more resources, budgeting, and everything. So that's another thing, because it's basically what I'm trying to say. You're helping them, but that's not help. Is they want to be, hey, thank you kind of thing, because you're always adding more and more work, which can push their project. So that's another thing. So in a nutshell, these things happen. They're not so much rewarding in a sense, I would say, but that's the reality of being in the field of cybersecurity or information security. So if you see one of those, you do not have one of those skills, or if something what you're expecting, then you may need to reconsider it. But what's are good, then I think I'll put another video, the bright side of it and what are exciting things. But I just wanted to share with this video. So let me know what you think about it, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you and bye.